the basement of La Penta. This is WICR.
Hello, Iona College. Welcome back to a very special pop-up of the Sports Vault, bringing your weekly NFL and college picks. Now, it is the second Thursday of November, which marks Jersey Thursday, hashtag Jersey Thursday. So everybody, they're bringing the heat, they're bringing the fire with the Jersey game. Of course, I gotta kind of try to stand out a little bit in addition to normally. So I go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers throwback orange Leroy Selman jersey. I can't tell you enough how much I love the old Tampa Bay creamsicle jerseys. Now, I find with a lot of people, they either love them or they hate them. Me, I could not love them enough. It would bring me great joy if the Tampa Bay Bucks went back to this style permanently, but right now they are not going to do that. But every once in a while, you've got to bring out the old creamsicle jerseys. I just love everything about them. Some of my favorites, but let's not waste any time. I went on my little talk about the jerseys. Let's go into the Week 11 NFL picks. The season is flying before we know it. I was kind of looking ahead, and I mean, man, there are just going to be, these last couple weeks are going to be incredible because you have teams like the Seahawks who still play the 49ers twice. They still play the Cardinals twice. There are a lot of important games the last stretch of the season, and I mean, I think it was great making the schedule that way because the last few weeks it's going to be a battle every single week to find out who's going to make it to the playoffs. Will be very exciting. But Week 11, the Thursday night game, a riveting one, of course, the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. These primetime games, to be honest, have been awful. The Thursday night games, we had a little stretch, a couple weeks where they were getting better, but we saw last week with the Bengals and the Browns, it goes back to just being a mediocre game. This looks like it will be another one. The interesting thing here is the Bills really, I mean, they've beaten the Dolphins 3 times in a row. Beat them both times last year. Beat them this year at home. The Dolphins get them home now. They're coming off the loss to Detroit. I'm going to go with the Dolphins here, but there's something there. I mean, the Bills always play the Dolphins tough. For some reason, they just matched up really well against them. But I like Miami here. They put up a good fight against Detroit last week. They're at home. I think they bounced back. Their defense is playing very, very well. They really rushed the quarterback very well. Tannehill's been playing better. I think they get back on track here, get a Thursday night win. Let's go on to the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers, and we have just seen increasingly the NFC South is just a battle of mediocrity. I have no faith in either of these teams. I have no faith in any team in the NFC South, to be quite honest. Cam Newton, I mean, the guy, it's painful watching him play. That offensive line cannot keep him up. He's dinged up. He's getting sacked every moment you look. I mean, you look at them offensively. Kelvin Benjamin's fantastic, but that's really the only weapon he has to work with. This defense is nowhere near as good as they were last year. I mean, you just look, you take away their corners, you take away their wide receivers from last year. For a young quarterback like Cam, you need to help him and build continuity. I mean, you remove all of his offensive weapons, you take away cornerbacks on defense, you're going in the wrong direction. The Panthers in the offseason made a ton of mistakes, really bad. So here, I'm going with Carolina being the home team, but like I said, I have absolutely no faith in either of these teams. I could legitimately see anybody winning this game. I just have no faith at all. Let's go on to the next game, which I have no faith in. The Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Bears have been the laughingstock of the league the last couple weeks. Defensively, I mean, they might be worse than some Canadian Football League teams for all we know. But, I mean, the Bears defensively are a mess. Offensively, they drive you crazy because they have so many talented weapons. I mean, Alshon Jeffries, Brandon Marshall, Matt Forte, but Jay Cutler is a turnover machine. The Vikings defensively are very good this year. I mean, it comes from their head coach, Mike Zimmer. He's a defensive mastermind, and they drafted very well in that department. Anthony Barr out of UCLA is a phenomenal young linebacker. He's had a great year. I think he's one of the rookies who really hasn't gotten a lot of attention this year, but the guy is a stud. He's a very good player. I went back and forth on this game. I'm going with the Bears here, being the home team, But again, you just have no faith in the Bears. How could you after the way they played the last couple weeks? But I go with the Bears at home. I just think offensively the Vikings are a little bit limited. I mean, they move the ball down the field slowly. They have been putting scores up on the board, but I just think the Bears have a little bit more of an explosive offense. But when Jay Cutler turns the ball over, you never know. I don't like this game either. Then you have the New Orleans Saints at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, like I was saying before, no faith in the Saints in the NFC South, and I have no faith in the Bengals either. The Bengals have shown you this year, you look at the way they've played, they have not had any success against the big teams in this league. Aside from the Ravens, you look at them against the Patriots, embarrassed. They tied against the Panthers. They can't put up a point against the Indianapolis Colts on the road. Now, the Colts defense is pretty atrocious. It really is. They lack playmakers. They lack a pass rush. So you're telling me that they can't put up points on the road against the Colts? It is going to be an ugly game for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not a fan at all. Now, I'm not sold on the Saints either. I mean, how could you be? But the Saints are the home team. That is a very tough place to play. I think they bounce back from the loss to the San Fran, and they get this win. Here's the next one, though. The Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans. Now, the Texans obviously are starting a new quarterback this week, so that is interesting there. I mean, I think it's about time that you start Ryan Mallett. It really is. I mean, see what you can do. Defensively, they're good, but Cleveland has been playing very well at home this year. I think Cleveland gets the win here. It should be interesting, though. I don't think this is a very high-scoring game here. Both solid defensively. They're going to be really relying on the run game in this game, but I think Cleveland gets a win at home here, but a low-scoring game. Then the Denver Broncos and the St. Louis Rams. Austin Davis is out. Sean Hill is in for the Rams. This is pretty easy. I mean, the Denver Broncos, even on the road, it's an inside game, so weather's not really going to be a factor here. So I like Peyton Manning. He'll be very comfortable in the dome here. He gets the easy win. The Seattle Seahawks and the Kansas City Chiefs is a very interesting game. I'm not a buyer on the Seahawks at all, especially on the road this year. Kansas City's definitely been getting more momentum the last couple weeks. Big road win against the Buffalo Bills last week. That was a tough win for them. So I like Kansas City here, and you really are seeing that the smart quarterbacks are really exploiting this Seattle Seahawks secondary. I think Alex Smith is a smart dude, doesn't have explosiveness, but he knows what he has to do to get the job done. I like Kansas City getting a win here. It's a tough place to play at Arrowhead. They've definitely been playing better, and Seattle has shown you they're vulnerable. They really are. I mean, they're going to really come in there trying to run the ball very effectively. I don't know if they'll be able to do that on the road here, but it's going to be an interesting game here. Could go either way, but I give the Chiefs my edge being at home. The next game you have is the San Francisco 49ers traveling to MetLife Stadium to play the New York Giants. Interesting game here. I'm going with the 49ers now. I'm sorry, Giants fans, but it's just ugly. You're just not that good. That's the simple case. I mean, you could say all that you want about who is to blame for it, but I just think at the end of the day, the team's just not very good. Defensively, they make a lot of mistakes. Offensively, they can't get in rhythm. Rashad Jennings being out's really been a big hurt to them, but I like the 49ers here. I'm not a big fan on them either. I mean, they lose Patrick Willis for the season, which is about as big a loss to them defensively as they could get. But I think that they'll have enough to get a win here. Long term, I'm still not a buyer on the Niners, but I think they do travel and they get a win at MetLife Stadium. Then you go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington Redskins. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a mess. I'm sorry, they're just pathetic. It really is. I mean, that whole NFC South is pathetic, but the Buccaneers, I think a lot of people expected Lovie Smith to come in there, really turn things around. It has been quite the opposite. I've never bought into the Bucs this year. Even though the Redskins, I'm not a buyer in them at all as well. I think this is just a mediocre game with two mediocre teams. Mediocre might even be a little bit nice for saying about these teams, but I like Washington here. It's going to be an ugly game. Avoid watching this game at all costs. It will not be great at all. Then the San Diego Chargers coming off their bye against the Oakland Raiders. the poor Oakland Raiders, I gotta be honest, I feel bad. I really do feel bad for the Raiders. They go to 0-10 this week. I mean, I don't think they will lose every game. I really don't. I think there's going to be a week where things just click. You see it in the NFL the last couple years. It's very difficult. I think some week they'll just have it and they'll get a win. But the Chargers, coming off their bye, will have enough. The Raiders fall to 0-10. The Detroit Lions going on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. Very good matchup here between two teams that are likely going to be in the playoffs. The Cardinals, though, Carson Palmer out for the year with his torn ACL. So I don't know here. It's an interesting game. I like this game a little bit. I mean, it's going to be one of the better games of the week to watch. But I think I got to go with the Cardinals here now. It's going to be good because defensively the Cardinals are just outstanding. The Lions offensively just have had trouble getting into rhythm. They really have. It's been my one concern for the Lions. Defensively, they're very sound, but they struggle getting in rhythm on offense. I like the Cardinals here because, especially in the fourth quarter, they are such a good fourth quarter team. They just always find ways to make the plays in this game. Now, you look at them at quarterback, I don't think Drew Stanton is a big drop-off from Carson Palmer. I really don't. I think he'll have enough to lead the offense down the field. He's shown you a couple times this year that he can get the job done. I like the Cardinals at home here. The Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Very interesting game here. Mark Sanchez really doing a nice job for them on Monday Night Football against the Panthers, but the frozen tundra of Green Bay, Wisconsin will be enough to get the job done here. I just think going on the road, Mark Sanchez and Chip Kelly, they really have it figured out what they want to do, how they want to play right now without Nick Foles. I think Chip Kelly really covers up a lot of holes for a quarterback, but I like the Packers here. They've been playing extremely well. I think they've really figured it out. They're in a very big battle with the Lions. Every game here between the two of them will be very important, so I like the Packers to get the win at home here. The Sunday night game, phenomenal. Andrew Luck at home against the New England Patriots. Hey, Luck versus Brady, I am all in. This should be a very good Sunday night matchup. We haven't had one in, it seems like, weeks now, so it's good to finally have this game coming. Now, this is an interesting game. It's going to be all Andrew Luck in this game. I like the Patriots to get the win here just because you look at the Colts defensively, they are atrocious. They lack playmakers in all the key areas. They lack playmakers in the secondary. They lack a pass rush. I think Tom Brady has no problems at all moving the ball at will against this defense, but Andrew Luck always has an answer. He will make the game close, but Tom Brady in that will just exploit the Colts defense. I think because the Colts defense alone, I think the Patriots will get the win on the road here, but it will be close because of Andrew Luck. He always brings something interesting to the table. Then you have the Monday night game, a terrible Monday night game. This is an awful game. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tennessee Titans. You got to go with the Steelers to get the win here. I'm not a big fan of the Titans. I mean, they are just a boring watch. They really are. On Monday Night Football, you're going to tell me you want to go home and watch the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tennessee Titans. No thanks. I'm watching something better. There's a lot of things that will be better than this game. So avoid that game at all costs. But that is it for your Week 11 NFL picks. Going into college a little bit. I mean, it's just another great college football weekend. It has been since week 1, and it has not stopped. I mean, we've got a couple weeks left in the college football season. With these last few stretch weeks are going to be incredible. A couple of the big highlighted games, Auburn and Georgia. Georgia being the home team, they are coming off a big win. Auburn is coming off a huge loss that pretty much went their season into the dumps. I like Auburn to bounce back here, though. I think Gus Malzahn will have the guys ready to go. I think that they still realize they have a chance here. I mean, things don't look good after last week, but I think they understand there's still hope here. I think that hope will carry them into this game. Will be a very high-scoring game here. I mean, Auburn defensively is atrocious. Georgia's had a lot of tough times struggling against running teams. Auburn is a phenomenal run team. I think Auburn gets the win against a very tough Georgia team. Then you go to Ohio State and Minnesota, one of the 12 o'clock premier games. I like the Buckeyes to win out. I really do. I think they win out. I mean, they play Minnesota, Michigan, and Iowa State. I'm sorry, not Iowa State. So they play these games. I think they get the win here, though. I think they win out, even in the Big Ten championship game. I think they win out. Then the big one, though, that highlights the weekend: Mississippi State and Alabama. This is such a good game. I mean, this is really going to be huge because a lot of people have Minnesota ranked at 5 or even in their top 4. I have them in my top 4. And then Mississippi State has been the number 1 team in the country all season long. I have gone back and forth in this game so many times. I am going with Alabama for now, but part of me thinks I'm going to switch it at some point. I just think you look at Alabama and the quarterbacks they played, they haven't played a lot of quarterbacks who are as dynamic as Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott throws the ball very well. He's an effective runner when he needs to be. They had a nice win against UT Martin where they could kind of catch their breath a little bit after their tough stretches. I think this is going to be a very interesting game. I could really see it going either way. I'm not the biggest fan of Blake Sims, and Mississippi State has a tremendous defense. Blake Sims is going to have some problems in this game. He really is. I mean, you saw last week, he's had a lot of games where he just struggles to get into rhythm. Alabama's at their best when they go up-tempo, when he just can rely on his athleticism and just go. I think it'll be a very interesting game, but for now, I'm going with Alabama, but it's definitely something that I could change my mind on. I'll probably change my mind several times, but that is going to do it for now. We'll be back again on Friday talking some Clayton Kershaw. He better win the MVP today. I think he will. That should come out around 4 o'clock. But that is going to do it for your Week 11 NFL picks, holidaying the college season a little bit, and that is going to do it for today. Everyone, enjoy your wonderful day.
How do you plan to move the world? Just 20 minutes north of Midtown Manhattan, Iona College offers more than 40 majors, supportive faculty, and experiential learning opportunities, including internships and study abroad. With merit scholarships of up to $31,000 a year, totaling